awesomely low tech here, just squeezed in.
I feel really bad too because I just worked out and I need to shower so bad. I'm sure I smell awful.
Just kidding, I don't really smell anything. Yeah, welcome to a Grim Stream of Perilous lore. It's been like a month since I got the name right of my own show.
I must be the good luck charm then.
Yeah, I guess. Something like that, sure.
I'll take credit for that.
But obviously, I'm Dan, GM of Grim Podcast of Perilous Adventure. And then with me, I have the lovely Dani.
Hi.
Who obviously is on a Grim Podcast of Perilous Adventure. Obviously, we've listened to it. She is Mina, and she also is the GM of the Lost Omens podcast.
Yeah.
Which we have coming out tomorrow.
Oh, yeah.
Episode 6 will be out tomorrow.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yep, I've got some editing to do. I'm just kidding. I've got like 6, 7, and 8 ready, scheduled like
forever ago too.
Forever ago.
Yeah, 6 is actually kind of cool because that's when you took over editing that show.
Mm-hmm.
So
yep,
pretty cool.
Yes.
So we got make sure you check that out. If you haven't been listening to the Lost Omens podcast, give it a shot. It's Pathfinder 2. Dani is running us through the Extinction Curse adventure path, and so far it's awesome. It's a blast.
It's very fun.
We did a marathon session yesterday, trying to move over a little bit so your face isn't cut off. We did a marathon session yesterday and recorded 4 episodes. We were exhausted by the end.
Oh my gosh. And yeah, it's just, we took a break halfway through. Bad idea. We're like, let's break for dinner, put the kids to bed, whatever. No, we just got to go like straight through.
Probably better if we just kept going.
Yeah.
But I think the episode's still going to be great.
Hope so.
I mean, it's a high energy actual play.
Yes.
I would call it.
Mm-hmm.
Super funny. My face hurts from laughing.
Yeah.
Every episode.
Yep.
And it's a great time. We do our best with the rules. We're getting better with it. We're all new to Pathfinder 2. We only have a few months experience with it at this point, but you know, if you enjoy actual plays at all, give it a shot. The Lost Omens podcast. Make sure to put the in the front if you're searching for it, especially on iTunes.
Podcast. Yep. And if you are familiar with Pathfinder, like, I don't like criticism from most people, but yep, don't tell me I'm wrong. But if you have some constructive criticism, we have someone from for the Grim podcast of Perilous Adventure who's kind of like our rules lawyer. Wow, why is that so hard to say?
The rules lawyer.
I would love a rules lawyer and just let us know. There are things, I will tell you, episode 6 is coming out. We just recorded, episode 16?
Yes.
So
We're
don't be mad when in the next 10 episodes you're like, you keep doing this wrong. Tell me, and then when we record the next episode, we will do our best to fix it.
Right, let us know now, and we'll get to it eventually.
Eventually. But I want it to be the best that it can be, so...
Speaking of constructive criticism, I just got a text from the janitor of the Professional Casual Network, Tim.
Okay.
And to remind me to make sure I change the title and click to update those changes in OBS. And I did this time. I remembered, right? I hit update information. A couple hours ago I changed it when I did all this stuff to get ready for today.
Yeah.
What are we talking about today?
A topic near and dear to my heart. We're talking about Skaven.
Yeah.
I'm so excited.
Not quite yet. First up, we're going to talk about what's gaming. What's going on in our gaming worlds. We're doing that with Lost Omens.
Yep.
And then, what are you doing tomorrow?
I'm just kidding. I am taking one for the team. And I decided that with Big Chuck, I happen to have a job or whatever, and not being able to do the Monday Night Crisis Bite with the Marvel Crisis Protocol games on the stream here on Twitch, there needed to be some healthy competition and just a splash of sex appeal, because with Chuck not there,
we're lacking in that without him. That's for sure.
So I am going to be playing against Tim, the network janitor.
Yeah, and not only are you playing, you're going to be learning. It'll be a learning game. So if anybody's new to MCP, or if you're trying to get somebody into MCP, this is a great jumping on point, because Dani's experience with it is listening to me talk about it ad nauseum, and the when she's been there to help record with the hand cam, and she's kind of picked up some stuff, but it's pretty new. So this will be a good one as a tutorial. Also, Hello, Wargaming Dad. Thanks for
Yes.
joining us.
Wargaming Dad, I'm gonna need your help tomorrow.
I hope you
I'm
could be
playing
there.
NCP. I know you're often on the stream and contributing, and for that we thank you. But I am excited. I am very nervous. It is going to be slightly overwhelming, but I'm just looking to have fun. And I'm not playing against you, so hopefully I won't throw a tantrum.
I don't think you'd have fun if you played against me because you just get
I
mad.
don't think so either. And I would just get annoyed at you.
Probably, yeah,
But
that
I love
happens. If anybody's listened to a Grim Podcast or Perilous Adventure, they've heard Mina's Meltdown episode in particular. It was really good.
One of my finer
I
moments.
think that was like episode 29 or something. But yeah, so Dani's been running A-Force again. Last week I did. I had that. I was going to run a fairly similar list with She-Hulk, obviously,
Yeah,
Captain
She-Hulk,
Marvel.
Captain Marvel. I'm doing Gamora, and Black Widow, but a different Black Widow.
Right, the core Black Widow. That's 2 points.
Yes.
Oh yeah, Wargaming Dad said he can help you. Sweet. But yeah, so we're going. We tried to build a list that was a little newbie friendly, fewer characters. They're kind of simpler characters. No like Angela or Hela in there.
Right.
To really just throw a book of rules at you.
I can't do that. After I realized, like, when Tim was like, "Hey, do you want to do this, or do you want me to reach out to our friend Taylor from Throwlash Gaming?" I was like, "No, yeah, let's just send her out. Like, if I hesitate, I'll never do it. So just throw me in." Oh, by the way, we've got the stream on Sunday. Okay. Oh, by the way, we're doing our marathon recording session for which you need to prepare amply on Saturday. I just didn't.
And that was your choice.
I know. I did it to myself. I always do this stuff to myself. But, so I'm going to do my best. Dan's going to run me through some of the, like, basic rules. I have picked up some, I think.
At least how to read the card will be really important.
I should be able to read the card.
Like knowing what all the different things on the card means.
Mm-hmm.
Actually reading the whole rule helps. We have a horrible tendency to read like the first sentence and be like, oh, that's the rule. Like when I played Captain America probably 2 months ago at this point, played Avengers, and I totally forgot that his leadership ability reduces how much power a superpower costs to a minimum of 1. And I was having it be free, and it was like, whoops.
Oh. Oops,
yeah, because I didn't read the whole thing. I thought I knew how it worked, and I didn't.
Yes.
Bastion?
100% commitment. That's right. That's what you get from me.
That's Dani in a nutshell. She commits. For sure.
It's a blessing and a curse. But we're gonna... I think the real icing on top was the offer of subscriptions of subs to people who were there.
Oh, yeah, like somebody,
5 subs.
I'm not going to call them out right now, but somebody offered to gift 5 subs if Dani played. So super cool. So, he's a big Mina fan, so it makes sense.
Which is the best, because Mina's kind of awesome.
Mina is awesome. Not kind of.
In all reality, I'm like, oh god, I'm spreading myself too thin. Like, these are things that I should be doing, and that they are enjoyable, and they get me out of the house and not to our basement. So it's gonna be
we're down here a lot.
We have to keep our voices down though, because Tim is sleeping behind the curtain. I just emptied his bucket.
You do that for him?
Yeah, Curve is not here, so I've got to empty his bucket. All right, let's get down to brass tacks.
All right, before we get into the lore focus of the week, we have my Black Library recommendation for this week. So I tried to find something that was appropriate for covering Skaven. What could be more appropriate than Skavenslayer? It's not a Skaven book. I mean, kind of is. Skavenslayer is the second of the Gotrek and Felix books. A lot of people say this is the best one. There's a lot of people aren't a huge fan of Trollslayer because it's a collection of short stories. This is the first proper novel for the Gotrek and Felix books, and this takes place mostly in Nuln, where there is a Skaven incursion into Nuln up from their undercity, and it's really cool. You get to know Felix a lot better in this one. He tries to start settling down with somebody, and Skaven attack, and so it doesn't really work out, of course. It also introduces us to Grayseer Thanquol and Bone Ripper, which are just great.
Yay.
I love Grayseer Thanquol. He's crazy. But yeah, this one is awesome. Great high fantasy, and it really set the stage for what this series was. Trollslayer being so different was kind of introduced to the characters, of course, but this one really laid the groundwork of this is what a Gotrek and Felix book is like. And then as we went, we got more and more characters. I don't think Max or Ulrika or Snorri were introduced quite yet.
I've never read
it. Yeah, because I was like, are there any Black Library books? Have you ever read a Warhammer book?
Nope.
I didn't think, because if you had, we would have talked about that one, but
yeah.
I don't think you have. Maybe if we get you a special guest again, you can read. Maybe you should read Drakenfels. That's our current Discord. If you join the patreon.com/professionalcasual, we have a monthly book club for like nerd books. We just started, and our first one was Drakenfels, which was highly recommended by a bunch of people. I'd never read it, so read that recently. It was good. It was cool. I think you'd like that one. Sorry, I was reading the comments here. It was my computer's further away than normal, so I'm like, what does that say? Oh, the first part of Skavenslayer was also a short story? That one I didn't know.
It's really cool.
Thank you, Bastion. Very cool.
I love a good bit of trivia.
Right? Good stuff.
Yeah.
We might have a little bit of that at the end, which will be really fun. So, let's get into the lore focus.
Okay.
What are we talking about this week?
Skaven.
So what are Skaven?
The best.
Good answer. This is a good answer.
They're like rat people. Like big old rat people. Like smaller than a human.
Like mostly because they crouch over all the time?
Yeah, because they're living in the sewers, being sneaky, doing sneaky stuff.
Being sneaky.
The best. Oh my god, I love them. They're so much fun.
What is it that... So they're ugly rat people. So real quick, I like to talk about my sources, what I've been looking at through this week. I didn't do a lot for this one, just because I felt like Skaven's one I just know really well, and I figured with you on there as well, it wouldn't hurt. But can't recommend 2nd edition Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay books enough. Children of the Horned Rat is one of my favorites.
Mm-hmm.
I'll talk mostly because in college I ran a Skaven campaign when all the players were Skaven, which I'll definitely talk about throughout this show because it was the best time. It was amazing. Yeah. Sadly, you didn't get to play in that game, but
stupid college.
Yeah, it was one that you joined a couple games over the years
and
there.
It was hard though to maintain.
It was tough because you would visit every other weekend-ish. Because we went to different colleges, and it was like we were in the middle of a campaign. It was hard to have a character join for one session and then be gone for back and forth.
Yeah.
Also, of course, Warhammer Fantasy Battle books here. This is the Skaven from 7th edition.
Yeah.
Because for whatever reason, they never got an 8th edition book. We have some tabs here back when you used to play. You have Doom Wheel and Poison Wind Mortar tabbed.
Yes.
Fantastic units.
Yes.
So what is it about the Skaven that you love so much? Why are they the best for you?
Okay, let's rewind a little bit. The first army that I played were Tomb Kings.
Yeah.
And I wanted to like them so much, and their like table quality and everything, like I just love Egyptian stuff, and I was like, oh, this will be such a great opportunity.
They look so cool.
They were trash. They had big I don't want to say weaknesses, but there were issues with them. I couldn't play that army effectively.
They definitely had big weaknesses. And there were times where we'd play and I didn't take it easy on you and went for your Hierophant first. So once I killed them, the rest of your army would start crumbling.
Right, yep.
And it didn't have the play style that you were looking for.
Correct. Skaven though, like I liked the number. How you could take blocks of 50 slaves.
Oh yeah.
And that would be like a minimal amount of your point value.
The army's right behind us.
I loved that. And I also I liked their reckless abandon, especially with the Doom Wheel.
Oh yeah.
I'll blast my own unit. Okay, that's fine.
Oh, that stuff's
taking out 5 slaves
good.
is not a big deal. If it takes out some of your people as well. I also liked the different clans that you could play as, where you could really if you wanted to do the pestilence thing with the poison wind mortars and stuff like that. I really, really just loved all of those different things. So that really appealed to me, where you could. It's essentially it's one army, but you can play it 4 different ways.
Oh yeah, because they could do combat pretty well. Things like Storm Vermin and Rat Ogres and Hell Pit Abominations. You could do shoot. They were really good at shooting with Doom Wheels and Warp Block Jezzails and Warp Lightning Cannon. Everybody loves the Warp Lightning Cannon. I got stories with Alexander P. Nelson there. His Warp Lightning Cannon. I wasn't allowed to talk during his shooting phase. we played a lot in college, quite regularly, and he had a warp lightning cannon, and he loved it, and he had to roll we call it the misfire die. It was technically called the artillery die, but if you roll the misfire, bad stuff happened.
Always.
And it could spin in a random direction and just shoot, or it could just blow up.
Yep.
And when he would do that, I would say misfire and move my hand like a Jedi. And he rolled a misfire like 90% of the time. He was like, you cannot talk during the shooting phase anymore. You're just not allowed. And I was like, fine. And he'd still roll it. And he would get mad at me still. And it was really funny to me. And that was great.
Funny. Yeah.
I like Dagna says it's the GM Yang Yang duo. I don't know what that's supposed to mean.
I'm the good one.
You're the nice one.
You're a bad GM.
I don't like when people say it out of game.
I know, we kept saying it last night when we were recording for Lost Omens, and he was like, you can't say that.
Like, it's way meaner if you say it when we're not actively playing and I'm doing something to harm your character. It's different when I'm not actually GMing at the time.
That's funny. But yeah, I loved that, and just like the size of the army. Like, you could have huge units, multiples of those. Like, it was a very formidable looking force. And their lore is just so cool. Like, I don't know, I just love everything about them.
One of my favorite things about Skaven is their two, like, social tenets. First, personal ambition. Every single Skaven, no matter where they're born, what clan they're born into, has the loftiest aspirations. They want to become their clan warlord. They want to become a Grey Seer, if they can. They want to be the leader, no matter what. And it's like, that is encouraged, this upward mobility. But at the same time, like, their second tenet is survival at all costs.
Right.
And like, life is cheap in Skaven society. You are trying to move up the social ladder, everybody else is, and you are perfectly willing to shove everybody else out of the way, no matter what. And it's just, I love it. And that it was so great when we played that Skaven campaign, because people really really got into that.
Yes, they did.
So Alex was in there, and he played a Poison Wind Globadier for a while. We had a lot of death in that campaign. And our friend Red Jess, because she has red hair, was in there. Oh, hit my cord there. She played it. She was a gutter runner. She was playing a Clannish gutter runner. And at one point, they were having an argument about something. So Alex is like, well, I'm going to take one of my Poison Wind Globes and just smash it in her face, because they were very deadly. And I was like, all right, well, he like made some rolls or whatever and didn't do so well. She survived the gas attack, because a Poison Wind Globe is like a thin glass sphere full of poison gas. Yeah. And there are rules in this book for what happens when it breaks, and it'll drift in a random direction. So he smashes it on her face. She survives. It drifts over onto his space, and then it killed him instead.
It's so Skaven, though.
It was so Skaven. It was so perfect. That was the most we had laughed in an RPG, is that game. It was amazing. My roommate Murphy, who we've told a couple Murphy stories on Group Podcast of Perilous Adventure, he just hijacked the campaign completely. I had plans for what they were going to do. So the whole premise is that one player plays as the Grey Seer, and the rest play it like as his subordinates, his underlings. And he can like go buy new people, basically hire new people with Warpstone tokens. And he decided that his Grey Seer wanted to go find Felix Jaeger's brother, Otto, because I'd said it in Nuln, and we knew that his brother lived there. And I was like, how do you even know about this guy? And he's like, don't worry, I just do. So he totally took over the campaign and like decided where they were going to go. So I had to make up stuff on the fly, which was really, it was fun in a way to just try to figure out stuff as we went. Yeah. They had them encounter like a typical adventuring party in the sewer. Alex after his Poison Wind Globadier died, he played a master molder, or not a master molder, but a molder Skaven who had a things catcher, which we'll see in one of the pictures I have coming up. And he caught what's called a tunnel rusher, which is like a rat horse with 6 legs. He caught it and rode it as a mount, and he called it lunch. I think he did eventually eat it. There's two. I'm not going to do them all right now, but there's so many great little stories from that campaign.
We used to run games so fast and loose in college.
Oh my gosh, yeah, we'd play it we played like weekly, and we play it for like a couple of months, and then we just move on to something else. Either would end, or everybody would die, or we just kind of be like, oh, let's try something different.
Yeah.
Because at the time, that was the time second edition was coming out regularly, so there was tons of new stuff all the time. Yeah, Dagna says, no campaign plans can survive contact with the players. Typically, it's not that bad, but Murphy was just like, no, I'm going to do this instead. You got plans? Too bad. And I was like, but I have like a dungeon drawn up. And he's like, I don't want to go there.
Yep. You have plans? Cancel them.
Right? Oh my gosh. So we're talking about the different clans. So other than general Skaven society, they live underground, of course. They have their under empire, underneath the empire, and all other kinds of places in the old world. Actually, let me bring up my map of that real quick. Badoom!
Look at that map.
Yeah, so this is one I found in... Oops, I moved a different picture on accident. I want to select Under Empire. I want to make it bigger real quick.
Yeah. Bye.
So I was looking through the books. I found this one the other day, and one thing I love about this is that it's so wrong.
Really?
Yeah, so we have Altdorf,
Mm-hmm.
and then we have Kislev, the city of Kislev.
Okay.
Here it is. This is Kislev. On this map, Kislev is further south than Altdorf.
Oh, but it should be very north.
Yes, it doesn't make any sense. And then if you think, okay, so you need to turn it, rotate it counterclockwise. But then you have Bretonia south of the Empire, which should be maybe pretty much as west. So like it's so wrong, which makes it just fits. Like maps in Warhammer have always had issues with they don't always line up, and GW's always said, well, not every cartographer draws things exactly the same in the old world. Their cartography is not perfect, so it's perfectly within the lore of the setting that the maps aren't all the same and perfect.
That's a really great get out of jail free card for their art department.
Right? So that's one thing I love about this map, and of course there's no topography because it's all underground.
Right.
We see where there's more. I believe the white spots are where there's more warpstone, because we see under Mordheim there's a huge collection of warpstone.
Yeah.
Or it might just be where there's more Skaven in general.
That could be.
Underneath Hell Pit, this is where the Molders are from. Clan Molder we'll talk about in a moment, and then of course Skaven Blight is a big area there. So really cool map. Showing the Under Empire or a section of the Under Empire, really, obviously not the whole thing, because it would be pretty much the whole world. And they can go wherever they want underground.
I feel like that's one thing, I'm sorry to cut you off, I feel like that's something that when people think of Skaven, you don't realize, if there is a city with a sewer, there are probably Skaven in that city.
Even without a sewer, because they just make their own tunnels.
Right.
Another thing I love about the Skaven is that the Empire, pretty much nobody believes they exist. If they even know the word Skaven, they typically think, oh, that's just a myth. They're just beastmen that live underground.
Like the alligators in New York City.
Exactly.
Yep.
But those are but so and it's so fun. It's so Warhammer that it contradicts itself all the time, because there was a ruler of Middenheim from about 200 years, from 2300s of the Warhammer world. There was a guy called Mandred Ratslayer, and there was the Skaven Wars and they almost took over the entire empire that came from within, from underneath, and he led the charge out of Middenheim because they couldn't quite take over Middenheim, being on top of the Fallschlag I talked about back in episode 2, and he rode out with the Teutogan Guard and the knights and everything, and he killed millions of Skaven and whatnot, hyped up by myth. And if people believe the Skaven do exist at all, they believe they were all wiped out by Mandred Ratslayer. Really cool stuff. I love it. And the Skaven, they play that up. They know they stay in hiding all the time, because if the Empire knew that they were a real threat, they would come after them.
Yeah.
So if everybody believes they're not real, they're not going to do anything about it, and the Skaven can just keep going. Like most factions in the Warhammer world, though, the reason the Skaven haven't taken over yet is because of infighting.
Right.
Constant infighting.
Yes.
So that's where we get into the clans. So there are 5 major clans, and then there are countless minor clans and piddly little crappy clans. I'm going to start with my favorite.
Okay.
I think it's yours too. I'm not positive. Clan Scryer. Clan Scryer. So I picked this picture. This is Ikit Claw, one of the master engineers of Clan Scryer, and I love these dudes because they really ramp up the magic and shooting of Skaven. They put it together to make science fantasy, where he's wearing this crazy warpstone powered armor, and he has his halberd is called Storm Demon that he can shoot warp lightning out of.
Yeah.
And he has a cool gauntlet on his left hand, that is a warp flamethrower. So he can shoot green fire out of his left hand. He can shoot green lightning out of his blade, and he's a wizard essentially. He is a warp block engineer, so he can just do magic. Super cool.
Yeah.
But that's what Scryer is all about, is mixing this technology and magic together. They're the ones that create doom wheels. They create warp flamethrowers, which are awesome. They shoot green fire. They create rattling guns, which are they have to have two Skaven hold it, and it's a big Gatling gun that they turn the crank and it just shoots like shoots bullets really fast.
Pew, pew, pew.
Right? They take they had the Warplock Jezzails, which were terrifying sniper rifles. Again, took two Skaven because one had to hold up a Pavis. I can't speak. People know I can't pronounce things right. Which is basically a shield that the long rifle rested on, and then they could plink off like unit leaders and stuff.
Yeah.
And they shot like warpstone infused bullets. So like if it didn't kill you, it was gonna mutate you.
Yeah.
Which was awesome. I should talk a little bit about the god of the Skaven.
You should.
Actually, I almost said its name. Do you remember what it's called?
The three-horned rat.
Close. The horned rat.
The horned rat.
Right, just the horned rat. That's why it's the Children of the Horned Rat.
Yeah.
The book here. So yeah, and a lot of people say that the horned rat is like a slightly different manifestation of the Chaos Gods. A lot see him as a combination of Tzeentch and Nurgle.
Okay.
Because there's a lot with disease as well.
Yes.
So I love Clan Scryer. They also create all the war machines like warp lightning cannons. They are the most powerful and largest of the clans. But the next one I'm talk about.
And did I have an Ikit model, right?
You had the old one, the old metal one. I started playing Skaven in Age of Sigmar a couple years ago when they came out with the new book, the Skaven Kin, something like that. And there was the newer Ikit Claw model. I was gonna get at some point, but never did, even though it looks really awesome. Maybe I still will just to paint it, but
really cool.
It's pewter and not a fan of pewter. Not anymore.
I'm not
too
a fan of painting, so
right. Too spoiled by plastic all these years.
Yeah.
But a clan that is moving up in the ranks, pretty well solidified at number 2. That of course has aspirations to become the most powerful clan because they provide everybody gets things from Clan Molder.
Yeah.
So here we have a Master Molder, and he's here with some rat ogres. We'll blow this up nice and big for everybody. Oops, I lost. You see him with his things catcher in his left hand. He's got a whip and a things catcher. So this is basically you grab something around the neck with this weapon and it holds him in place because it's a bunch of spikes.
Yeah.
And if they try to get away, it might just kill him, and that's fine. For the Master Molders, they don't really care.
Yeah, they'll find another.
And they're all about the bodily manipulation, right? They might do things with genetics, not knowing what it is. But surrounded by him here in this image are rat ogres, which are Skaven that have been mutated to become giant monstrosities, the size of an ogre.
Yep.
Right? They're super strong, they're super dumb, and they'll do whatever you tell them to, as long as they get to eat something. I love Clan Molder's really cool. They're always tragically underutilized in the tabletop game because it was like they had giant rats and rat ogres.
Yep.
And that was it for the longest time. Finally, I think it was 7th edition, they introduced the Hell Pit Abomination, which was awesome. It was
really cool.
Giant monster.
It was so gross.
It was so cool looking. We never did get a model for that, but I always wanted one. They look so cool. If you if you don't know what it looks like, Google Hell Pit Abomination and look for a picture of the model. It is grotesque and amazing.
Yeah.
I think it had a rule called Mountain of Loathsome Flesh.
Yes, it did.
Because it would just like fall on things with all these parts, and it's so great. I should have grabbed a picture of that to have on here, but rat ogres are the staple. Everybody has rat ogres.
Yep.
A more recent addition to the Skaven. They showed up in the game around the time of the end times, but they're really cool. They're called Storm Fiends, where Molder and Scryer put their minds together and put big guns on rat ogres.
Where else would you want a gun?
Big gun,
big rat ogre.
Big guns or like big fist weapons, and they were just brutal. They were bigger than normal rat ogres, and they like one of them could have a rattling gun on each arm and one on its chest. So it just shot so many bullets. One had warp flamethrowers on each arm. One could shoot. Basically, all the normal Scryer weapons were put on different rat ogres. They were awesome.
Very cool.
They could even tunnel into the ground using warp grinders, which were like drills.
Okay.
Super cool. So
That
they
is
could
cool.
pop up someplace with these 3 giant monsters, and it was like, oh god. They are disgusting in AOS. I only played a couple games with them, and both times I just destroyed my opponent completely and was like, wow, this game's not good. It's so poorly balanced.
But you won.
Yeah, but it wasn't really fun because they were both like, oh, well, I didn't get to do anything.
You're not a true Skaven believer then.
Right, I felt really bad. One guy played Will. He was playing orcs, and he was like, wow, you killed my like 90 models, and I killed one of your 13 models. And I was like, isn't that just appropriate that I had 13? I'm sorry, this wasn't good.
Oh, poor Will. He's such a sweetheart too. No wonder we don't have friends.
It was one time. We played lots of games. He's beat me in plenty of
I'm
other
kidding.
games.
We have like 3, so.
Yeah, they're
fine.
usually in our basement recording. All right, next up. If Scryer's not your favorite, I think this one is.
Yep.
I like this clan a lot because of their ties to places outside of the Empire. They've taken over, not taken over, but they have a very, very strong presence in this Lustria, which is essentially like our world, South America, and the Southlands. This is Clan Pestilens. So I've chosen an appropriate picture. I think this might actually be from Age of Sigmar, but there's nothing super Age of Sigmar-y about it. This shows some plague monks, which are exactly what they sound like. They are diseased, nasty rats covered in rags. We have some plague sensor bearers that they wield plague sensors. So sensors, they're like hollow metal balls full of things that produce a noxious gas, and they swing them around. And up in the top left, we have a Vermin Lord of the Corruptor, and they're fighting some wizard men because the Skaven, basically outside in the Southlands and Lustria, is basically just pestilence, and they're constantly at war with the lizard men. I was just reading that new message from Bastion. He said, do they count as friends who keep them trapped in your basement? They chose to come here to begin with, so yeah. And Clan Pestilence is awesome because they are really the embodiment of Nurgle in the Skaven culture, where they are all about spreading disease. I mean, everything has plague in the name. Even their wizards use the lore of plague. They had a disgusting spell called, you guessed it, Plague. That was just awful. Alex would often try to get that spell off on me, and it was brutal.
Yeah.
It was real, and it can spread. I loved how they did that one, where if you'd affected one unit, it could have spread to other units near it, which was just nasty. Agnes says, consent separates friends from captives. Exactly. They chose to come here.
And once they're here, then they're best friends.
Yeah, Tim's coming to watch football
Best
today,
friends.
so obviously he chose to be here. I feel like we should tone down the pretend kidnapping thing, because people might think it's serious. All right, the last of the major, the penultimate major clan.
Bastion just said
What?
Lord of Decay is called Nurglitch.
The Vermin Lord of Decay? Oh yeah, I think they worship something called Nurglitch slightly separately.
That's really cool.
Which is, I just love that name.
Yeah.
There was a special character in the tabletop game called Nurglitch when they expanded stuff in Lustria. There was Nurglitch and the Prophet of Sotek was like a skink, like his opposite. They had really cool models.
Yeah.
But yeah, Clan Pestilence is cool. They had some really neat stuff on the table besides. They had the Plague Monks, of course, which were like frenzied rats with a bunch of weapons. They had a ton of attacks, and they were tougher than other ones. The Clan Pestilence boss, Bastion said, this Nurglitch. And they had their Plague Priests, and they had Plague Catapults later on that just threw filth.
So gross.
So nasty.
I
just
love
a
it
catapult
so much.
flew, and it would just like a splat of stuff.
Nasty.
So gross. I feel like I'm forgetting something from. There were Plague Monk, Plague Priests. I think they had like higher Plague Priests. There was Lord Skrulk, who had an awesome name, who was a named character Plague Priest.
Sounds like you're trying to get phlegm out of your throat.
Exactly. That's what it's supposed to sound like. Skrulk. So good.
You know what? Go Skrulk yourself.
Wow, aggressive. All right, talking. Well, the second to last clan here is kind of like the opposite of aggression. They're the sneaky rats. You got Clan Eshin, which are ninja rats.
Yes.
Essentially. And Clan Eshin always had the potential to be so cool, but they were the least developed. They're a smaller they're a smaller major clan, and the thing is, everybody hired Clan Eshin assassins. Every clan used them, but they never had the numbers of other clans, so they were never quite to the level of things like Scryer or Molder or Pestilence.
Yep.
But they were really good at what they did. In the tabletop game, they were limited. There were Night Runners, which were units of sneaky, fast rats. There were Gutter Runners that were those but better. And I think they had things like they had Skirmish and they could ambush and stuff. And then there were Clan Eshin Assassins and Master Assassins. And then there was good old Death Master Snitch. Or Snitch. I can never say his name right. I think that was about it. Like there weren't many choices. You could build a whole Eshin army. It just wasn't very good, because it did one thing, and that one thing it didn't do great anyway.
Right.
You could throw slings. They had slings. That was about it.
Yeah.
But in the lore, they're amazing. Skaven assassins are like maybe second to Dark Elf assassins, but probably right on the same level. Like a Skaven assassin,
they can get in anywhere. Forget it.
Yeah. Who? Oh no, the name is leaving my head. Who was the one that the Skaven Clan Eshin assassins killed? The king was a king like Nebuchadnezzar kind of name in Nehekhera that kind of led to Nagash, something like that. I forget now. I think they brought down the ancient Nehekhera dynasty and led it and had it, and like because of the Skaven. It led to like the land of the dead and Nagash raising the Tomb Kings and whatnot later on. But it was like they did it so well. The only reason they knew it was Skaven is because I think they found like some poison that the king was killed by.
Yeah.
But now that name leaves my head, and I should have looked that one up. Hopefully somebody in the chat will fill me in and remind me. The last of the major clans. People always forget about this one. Technically, it is the 5th major clan. Is Clan Moors.
Okay.
Do you remember that name?
Nope.
So Clan Moors is the greatest of the Warlord clans, which isn't one of the other. Basically, Warlord clans don't have like allegiance to any of the other 4 major ones, but they are huge clans in their own right, and they will hire things from all the other major clans. And Clan Moors was the biggest of those. Bastion says I'm a bit wrong on that bit. What did I forget there? I know that I can't. The bit of the story is right at the top of my head, but I can't quite remember it, and I forgot to look that one up. So hopefully Bastion can give us a little bit more there. But Clan Moors is really cool because they are like the epitome of a Skaven warlord clan, where they are all about like their storm vermin. They just have weight of numbers, and they'll use a little bit of every other clan stuff. They'll have rat ogres alongside Warplock Jezzails with maybe a unit of plague monks that they hired and a Skaven assassin, a Clan Eshin assassin hiding among them.
Yeah.
One of my favorite special characters of all time was Warlord Queek Headtaker.
Okay.
Who was great. He was like super anti-dwarfery. He had like a stunty killing axe basically, where he was really good at chopping the heads off of dwarves. I think he's the one that caused fear and a hatred in dwarves. They hated but feared him because he was so good.
Scary.
He was a fixture in my armies because he could like beef up a unit of storm vermin. I think one unit of storm vermin, if he was the general, could be like way better. But I have the book right in front of me, so I might as well look at it.
You might as well.
Get that right. Yeah, he could upgrade one unit of storm vermin and have +1 weapon skill and +1 strength.
Wow.
Which was really cool. Yeah, he has the dwarf gouger was his weapon, which was super cool. Let me see if I can find that picture of him to try to show it real quick. I don't have it for the stream, but that model's amazing. I still have it somewhere painted up. This one here is Queek Headtaker. He's just awesome.
Yeah.
One of my most favorites.
Most favorite.
And then there are dozens, if not hundreds, of minor clans, smaller clans that are trying to move up all the time, but they usually either get destroyed by larger, more powerful clans, or kind of brought into part of that clan, and just become a bit of it.
Yeah.
So which one is your favorite?
I would say a tie between Scryer and Pestilence.
Yeah,
yeah.
Kind of the same for me.
Yeah.
I always wanted to build an army up of that included both.
Yes.
All right, here we go. Bastion says King Alcazadir. I didn't say that right at all.
You didn't.
Alakadzir was a prisoner of Nagash. Nagash was raising his massive army. The Skaven released the king and gave him the special sword to kill Nagash. That's right. They gave him a sword that had the Skaven triangle on it. That's what it was. So they knew the Skaven were involved, and he killed Nagash. That's it. So I kind of mixed that up with assassins that killed Conrad Kurz in Warhammer 40k.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of meshed those stories together and just made up my own. Thank you, Bastion, for helping with that one. I totally forgot about that story. I definitely should have looked that up.
You said the name of the sword is a quiz question.
The king later died from warpstone exposure from the sword, which makes perfect sense.
That's cool.
What else? You got anything else about Skaven you want to talk about here with the lore focus?
Only that my top people in the army, in my army when I ran it, I named them after famous mice and rats.
Who was your warlord?
Wasn't it Warlord Rizzo? Yep, Rizzo the rat. And then, oh god, who's the other one?
Radigan.
Yep.
He's from the Great Mouse Detective.
Yep.
See the bad guy in that?
Yep, Radigan. Yeah. So I
feel like you looked up others as well.
I did.
Well, Rizzo, I love that reference.
Yep,
That's
Rizzo.
my favorite to me.
Yep.
The other story I want to tell when talking about Clan Eshin. So Red Jess's character in the Skaven campaign was an Eshin gutter runner or what's the other one? Night runner. I don't think she had upgraded to gutter runner yet. And her whole character was that she could do no wrong in her mind. Everything she did was perfect and right the first time. She was super overconfident, and I loved it. It was great. And they were trying to get to a boat in the harbor at one point on the river that Nolan is on, the Reich, and for some reason she was trying to scale. They were trying to get to this boat at night. So Murphy's character, the Grey Seer, whose name I cannot remember, told her, go get me a skiff, because he wasn't going to do anything himself. He had subordinates for that. He's like, go get me a skiff, and then we'll go across. And she's like, oh, I'll do it. I definitely know what that is. I can handle that. And she runs off. She's like, okay, I come back with a skiff. And I was like, what do you have? Like, did you get a boat? And she was like, no, I didn't get a boat. My character doesn't know what a skiff is. So I'm like, so what did you give him? And she's like, I canned him a very shiny rock. And we all lost it, of course, because it was really funny. And he was like, no, you idiot. And he takes it and he throws it in the water. And he's like, give me a skiff. And she's like, oh, I thought you said a rock. Okay, I'll get you a skiff. And she runs off. And I'm like, but you just said you don't know what a skiff is. She's like, yeah, I have no idea. Or my character has no idea what a skiff is.
Oh my gosh, that's really funny.
And she just came back like 3 times trying to find something else. And just kept giving him random things. And finally he was like, no, get me a small boat that we can row over there. And she was like, oh, yeah, I knew that's what you meant. And then they got over there. JB, who plays Bruno on a Grim Podcast of Perilous Adventure, played an amazing Plague Monk. I think his name was Twitch.
Of course he did.
And I would just completely randomly here and there just be like, hey, JB, make a toughness test. And he's like, okay. It's JB, so he's like, failed. And I was like, oh, okay, so you just, like, make waste on the ground. Well, you just defecate everywhere. And he's like, oh, yeah, of course. And I was like, make a willpower test. And he's like, okay, yep, failed that. And I was like, now you're rolling it because you're pestilence. And he's like, yeah, he loved that. He thought it was great. It was so funny.
Oh, that's
so
funny.
they finally get to this boat, and they scale the side of it. The Clan Eshin goes first because she's so confident, but she had like punch daggers, so she actually could scale it really easily. And they climb up to the top, and they get on the boat, and they're like, okay, we got this. And then I was like, as you're searching around the boat in the dark, you see dwarves. And they're like, what? I was like, yeah, this is a dwarf trading vessel. And they were like, we didn't expect dwarves. Like, dwarves were terrifying in that edition of the game because they all had bonuses to, like, weapon skill, so they would hit you all the time. So much more. They were really scary in combat and, buffed toughness, so they didn't take damage as much. And they were like, we gotta go. So then Jess's gutter runner was like, no, we can take them. So she stayed and fought, and the others just left. Like, the fight started, and then she, like, went up ahead, and everybody else, when it got to their turn, was like, I'm getting off the boat. JB's like, I'm just going to jump. He almost drowned to death, of course, because he's so incompetent. His character was incompetent, I mean. He's incompetent at rolling dice.
He is.
He can't help that.
It's a thing.
Yeah. And she fought them until she died.
Mm.
Because as playing as Skaven characters, you don't get fate points.
Of course.
I think the
Yeah.
Grey Seer gets like 1, but none of the characters do. So if you die, you die. I think she just fought to the death, or she may have jumped off at the very end, but they were complete, and I made it so they were kind of outclassed because it was like you're not just gonna steal a boat with like 4 or 5 of you. Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Yeah.
My favorite moment. Oh my god, I almost forgot about this. Our friend Bob, who will always be 40 because he turned 40 when we were in college because he was a non-trad. He played what's called a black Skaven, which like the storm, typically the darker Skaven's fur, the bigger they get and stronger they get. So black Skaven were the big like toughs in that build of party, and they were going through the sewers at one point, going from A to B, and when they fought, they ran into a couple rat catchers at one point. And Bob's big old hulking black Skaven got killed by a small but vicious dog. It literally ripped his throat out. It was amazing.
Really
there was Tim, not Tim, JB, no, wrong person again. Murphy, as the Grey Seer, kept having to go down into the Undercity to like buy new people for his retinue, and he like ran out of money at one point and had to like sell stuff to get more Warpstone tokens to buy new player characters.
That's crazy.
It was amazing.
Could you imagine if we ran this like with one, if we someday when we quit our jobs and we just podcast all the time, if we ran this game with like a current group, like the Lost Omens group, or the
I would love to do
like
that.
The Papa group.
My only issue with that, I would absolutely do that. It would take a long time to convert the Skaven character rules to 4th edition. It would just take a lot of work, which I would absolutely do if I had the time. I would love to run a Skaven campaign with this crew. Oh my god, having Tim would be the Murphy of that.
I was gonna say
crew,
you can't let Tim be the Grey Seer.
No, I wouldn't. I would purposely not have Tim be the Grey Seer because he would just play it like he does Lucky and another character. I think I would make JB be the Grey Seer just to see what he would do. I think it would be hilarious. Because he'd be, who knows what JB would think of. It would just be a mess. I probably would plan. I don't even know what I would plan for a game like that, or if somebody else ran it. 4E's getting a Skaven book soon. Yeah, but is that going to have rules to play as Skaven? If somebody already did the hard work for me, that would be awesome. Maybe it'd be like after we finish the Southlands campaign, we could do a Skaven campaign as the bonus content. I need to talk about the Southlands campaign a little bit.
This is a great segue then.
Yeah, perfect. So I've been working a lot on my original content adventure, the Southlands campaign. Someday I'll come up with a better name for it, but nobody's given me suggestions so far. So
I like the Southlands.
I just keep calling it that. I mean, it tells you what it is. It's like does what it says on the tin kind of thing. So I don't mind calling it that. It's moving along. I designed my first dungeon for it. I shared in the Discord just because I thought it would be cool to show people that. I've got a lot of things planned. We're getting some ideas for NPCs. So if you want to have your hand in helping to create this PCN original, Professional Casual Network original Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay campaign, patrons at the $10 tier and up, throughout from now to the end of February, we're going to need to create NPCs within to take place in the campaign. I've got a bunch already made, but I would be fine like if somebody really wanted to add, create their own wizard that is brought as part of the expedition. Either I would just make 2 wizards. There could be 2 wizards, or I could replace the wizard I already have that I have like a name and a little bit of background for and whatnot. But really excited for this. Got some ideas already. Dagna wants to have like a small mercenary company as part of the expedition, which sounds really cool. I'm gonna get it's just I'll work with whoever wants to do this to create some NPCs.
Our friend Anthony over at Bearded Dragon Games .online, sponsor of the network, he is really excited. He's going to make one because he is also a patron, in addition to helping sponsor some cool stuff, and he wants to make a merchant. Like, he's just gonna be himself.
I love this idea so much. It's so good. Yeah, Anthony, one of the co-owners of Bearded Dragon Games, he is a patron, but the store also is supports the network and is a official sponsor. Good plug with Bearded Dragon Games online. You could even get your own Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay books through them. He's got at least the core book on there. I'm sure a bunch of other stuff too. So I'm really excited for that. Hopefully we'll be able to start recording that maybe February. I'm crossing my fingers.
Maybe.
We have our cast almost set. I got to hear back from one person I've been in contact with about that, but really excited to get going with that. We're going to have all new characters. Some people have been asking me if this is like a side quest for Gapapa, but no, it's going to be all new characters.
Yes, my character's name is Trina.
Did you already decide that?
No. Oh, I'm just making that up to sound like Mina.
Right. I don't know. The first thing I thought of was the Yellow Ranger from Power Rangers, but that was Trini.
Yeah.
Well, you said Trina, and that was the first thing that popped in my head.
Yes, I am playing the Yellow Ranger from Power Rangers in the Southlands campaign. So, mixing it up.
Right?
Mixed media.
Nice. But yeah, super excited for that. That'll be the next couple of months. So that's something I've been putting a lot of time and effort into. So hopefully that is as good as I am thinking it's going to be.
Yeah.
So we're to the last part of the show here. Our kind of listener and viewer questions and whatnot. Which I believe Bastion, I assume he's still with us because he just commented a minute ago, wanted to prepare a quiz for us about Skaven, which it sounds like it's going to be kind of hard if one of the questions is the name of that sword.
And I didn't read any of those books, so goodbye.
So hit us with your first question there, Bastion. I'm curious. I think he said he's going to prepare. He has between 5 and 13 ready to go.
That is so appropriate.
Somewhere around there.
I'm a big fan of that.
All right. What is believed to be the name of the city that became Skavenblight? You remember?
Nope.
I believe this came up like last week or 2 weeks ago when we were talking about Skaven coming up soon and arguing about how to say Skaven.
Okay, while you're thinking about that, I do want to make the argument that I kind of like the idea that the pronunciation is supposed to be like Skaven, like scavenger, because they're rat people, so I could get behind that pronunciation, but I've called them Skaven forever, so.
Right. As long as you're not trying to say Skaven. That one I can't get behind at all. I will fight that tooth and nail. But Skaven, I've always said Skaven, so I'll say Skaven, but Skaven makes some sense as well. I believe it starts with an M, the name of this city. I want to say like it's kind of like Joe Manganiello kind of place, like Morangelo. And I always get that Skooven. I think it's something like that. Or is it Margarita? No, that's the capital of Estalia, I think. I don't know for sure. What is it, Bastion? I'm already getting the first question wrong. Gotta wait for the delay in the chat. Tylos?
You were
so I was
wrong.
way off.
You were so wrong.
Not even close.
I knew that, but I wanted to give you an opportunity to flex here.
Oh, thanks. All right, you can get the next question. Tylos. That's a good start.
Tylos.
I didn't read much about it because I thought I knew Skaven really well.
Well, now you know. It's a humbling experience.
If you don't know, now you know. You know?
Yeah, no.
Oh my god, that's a long question. Okay, so what was the name of the sword the Skaven fashioned to, quote, kill Nagash? Oh, we threw a bunch of questions in there at once. Okay.
Okay, you do that one.
Which clan's return prompted the first Skaven civil war? Probably Pestilence, I think, when they came back from Lustria. Uh-oh, Dagna's he says, Googling says the city was Kavzar, not Tylos. But I believe the clan that came back was Pestilence. Because I think they went to Lustria and then got beat by the Lizardmen and came back through their tunnels under the Great Ocean. The name of the sword, I cannot remember that one. It's something like Splinter or something. Oh, I got one right. It was Pestilence. All right. The name of the sword that used to kill Nagash.
Needle.
I can't remember that one.
No, I have no idea.
I can't even think of a possibility. Name of the story. Fellblade. That makes sense. Because that was an item in the army. The Fellblade it was really, really good.
Okay.
All right, and then which emperor did they assassinate circa 1111 IC? Well, it wasn't Mandred because he was around the same time as Magnus the Pious. 1111. So we're talking over 1,000 years in the past. Who did the Skaven assassinate? Was it something the Fat? It sounds around the same time that he created the Moot as a joke. That sounds like it could have been around the same time. I can't remember his name, like Felix the Fat or something like that. I don't know that one either. Dang it.
Which, to set the record straight, our child is not named after Felix from the Gotrek and Felix books.
What are you talking about? That's who's named after right there.
No. No.
Yes, Jaeger. Or Jaeger.
No.
Right there.
No.
Not the best picture of him.
Boris Goldgather, Madrid then became emperor.
Boris Goldgather. Oh. I was
Boris.
close.
What a name, Boris.
Felix Boris. I was close.
Felix the Fat, Boris Goldgather.
So Madrid.
So close.
So am I totally getting my times mixed up? I thought Madrid. That's the Skavenslayer, right? I thought he was around, like, because I thought he was, like, touted by Magnus the Pious, and that was only, like, 200 years. That was, like, 2023, or 23 something. Boris the Incompetent, that makes sense, yeah, because they almost lost the Empire.
Mm-hmm.
Guess I'm getting my dates mixed up a little bit here. All right, you got another question for me to look dumb on? Give me an easier one.
Called Kavzar. Yeah, or Till, depending on the source, was an ancient human and possibly also dwarven city located in the Blighted Marshes between modern-day Tilia and Estalia. So it isn't just cartography that can be whatever you want.
So not only are the maps not always right, but the names on those maps aren't always right from person to person as well. I like that. Okay, so Bastion said 1111 was the Black Plague. That was created by the Skaven. That makes sense. And then Madrid lifted the Skaven siege in 1115. Oh, I already covered the other ones. All right,
Cool.
So if I already covered other questions, I didn't do that poorly.
Yeah.
Just those real specific ones were rough.
I like that, though.
What?
Like, you know so much about the lore and stuff like that. I like to see you have, like, challenging questions.
Yeah, it's fun. You just like me to be wrong?
I didn't say that.
Is my time of Magnus the Pious just way off then? I thought that was like 200 years before like the current time. I'm looking at the timeline in the Skaven army book here. I don't see anything about Mandrin Ratslayer. Definitely should be there.
Yeah.
But maybe I gotta look at my timeline stuff again, because I guess I'm getting a little off there, which I don't like. I don't like being wrong about stuff.
You just consume so much Warhammer stuff.
Just to consume too much fiction in general and get things mixed up.
He says Pius was 2302.
Oh, okay, so I did have that part right. Yeah, I knew that was early 2300s. Okay. Yeah. Like, all thrown off, I don't know why. Very cool. We next week, we're about done here. I'm going to bring up my notes. All right, just double checking. I thought that's what it was. Next week is going to be dwarves.
Okay.
Or dwarfs. With an F.
Are you going to get your brother on here?
I don't know. I was thinking about it. Thinking about asking my brother. I've talked about it a bunch of times. Different Tim. Because he's the one that got me into Warhammer, and he's always been a huge dwarf fan. He looks like a dwarf, just tall.
Yep.
Because he's like this much taller than me. Like half an inch. He's always had a big beard since he could grow a beard, and
he used to have really long hair too.
Yeah, he has the build of a dwarf, just with long arms and legs.
Yeah.
And I don't think he would take that as an insult either.
Well, it's what your family calls the lasher build.
Yes, barrel chested and skinny arms and legs.
Yep. Dude skips leg day.
I didn't this week. It hurts. But yeah, so next week's plan is dwarves. If I can get my brother on, I will try to do that. Actually, I haven't talked to him about it yet. Last week I asked him if he could join, be on to be in the chat about Dark Elves and help me with that. But he was working too late, so I don't have high hopes for that. But I will ask and see if that is a possibility. Either I don't think he'd be here in person. but we could potentially try to figure out something remotely. I don't know. Tim will have to teach me more about OBS and whatnot.
Tim the janitor, Tim.
Yes, janitor of the PCN, Tim. But otherwise, this has been really fun.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining me today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
It was a good time. It was kind of nice and different to have a guest. And yeah, next week will be dwarfs, and I'll talk about. I'll have to do a little bit of reading about them because, I mean, dwarves are short, angry people, right?
Who drink a lot.
Yes, and have beards. That's it.
There's so much I want to
next
say,
week is actually going to be something else now because I already covered dwarves.
Yeah, there you go.
JK. Yeah, we'll talk about dwarves next week. Thanks, Blarin. He says, hi, guys. Bye, guys. Have a good day. Thanks, Blarin. You too.
Thank you, Blarin.
And yeah, that'll be it for today. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, everybody in the chat. Bastion, thanks for the questions. Yeah. Thanks for making me look dumb by not knowing those things. And Bastion said, thanks, Dani. Brought some class to the job.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, dwarves. Well, I'll see if I can mispronounce dwarf next week because we know how good I am at saying things correctly. Otherwise, have a good one, everybody. We'll see you next time. Before I go, I want to talk about the rest of the network. Obviously, if you're watching this, if you're interested in seeing other things with the network, I'm going to go through the weekly schedule. Obviously, Sundays is this. The 2 weeks prior episodes go up on YouTube like at midnight on Sunday, usually, if I remember to schedule it right, because I took over that part of it. Mondays, the Lost Omens podcast.
That's me.
Where Dani runs Pathfinder 2.
Yep.
We're playing the Extinction Curse adventure path, and it's super, super fun.
Mm-hmm.
Tuesdays right now. Yep. What?
Monday.
Oh, Monday night. Oh, yeah, the Power Phase. Oh, yeah, the Power Phase.
Oh, yeah.
Right here on this Twitch. If you're watching it on YouTube or the podcast version, I'm sure you already know about twitch.tv/professional casual network. Monday nights at 7. I put 7 and Monday together and got Sunday. Monday nights at 7.
Eastern time.
Eastern is, the Power Phase, where we play Marvel Crisis Protocol over at Bearded Dragon. And Dani's playing tomorrow.
I am.
Trying out A-Force with She-Hulk, Captain Marvel. Who are they? Gamora and Black Widow.
Yeah.
Against Tim, I think he's also taking a ladies team just to really ramp up the estrogen.
Who runs the world? Girls. Beyonce said it, so it's
so it's got to be true. Tuesdays right now is a day off for the network in terms of releases. If you want to go back and check out what we did have coming out on Tuesdays was The Space Between, where we covered kind of nerd stuff like The Mandalorian and The Boys Season 2. As it came out, we did deep dives into each episode. Wednesdays are Patreon days, where our patrons get all kinds of awesome stuff. We have, not only is it just Wednesdays, but every day there's a podcast for Lost Omens, for Gapapa, and for Elite 8. There's video with it as well that goes up on the Patreon. But Wednesdays we have vlogs. The podcast version of this show is on there, exclusive on our Patreon RSS feed. We have, Dani has regular vlogs, book reviews and things. Yeah. Every week there's some kind of vlog. I think last week was book review and Big Chuck's return of Tasty Treats, where he does little reviews of different snack foods. This week's was something chocolate. I forgot.
Sign me up.
Yeah. And they're just fun. Chuck's usual brand of humor, high octane, just kind of being fun and silly. Yep. And
that's what he does.
I love the Tasty Treat stuff. He's been doing it on his Instagram for years.
Mm-hmm.
And he takes it like super seriously. Like he'll grade it and he'll talk about the texture and he'll talk about the layers. But he always did it from his car. He always sitting in his car. I don't think these are, because he records it like on his iPad or something like that. So I think these are like in his room.
Yeah.
But yeah, I always love the Tasty Treats on his Instagram that we're all in the car.
Yeah.
But that's Wednesdays. We have anything exclusive. The Southlands campaign will be on there in the next couple of months. Any other bonus episodes we do are on the Patreon.
Yeah.
Also, joining the Patreon gets you access to our Hoppin' Discord, which I haven't looked at in an hour. I'm probably going to have 10 messages I got to catch up on.
So many messages.
We have awesome people in the Discord. The people in the chat. If you're on reading, good Lord, I can't talk. If you're watching on Twitch, either live or video on demand, people in the chat are mostly patrons, which is great.
Yep.
Or I think
love
even
them.
all. And then Thursday is a Grim Podcast of Perilous Adventure, which you know, might be our favorite. I don't know if it's your favorite because it's not your show, but I love Grim Podcast Pros Adventure because we're playing the Enemy Within campaign, Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay 4th edition, and it is a blast.
It is so fun, and I like that I don't have to do anything to prepare for it, and even when I have to spend experience, you still help me.
Yeah, I walk you through it. It's fine. I don't mind at all. And we are finishing up The Enemy in Shadows, the first book of the Enemy Within campaign, and it is just, it's the best time. We're having a great time with that game. It's probably the best game I've ever run.
Yes.
Just by chance, by luck, and it just gets better all the time. So we'll be diving into Death on the Reich very soon. If you know anything about Death on the Reich, it's going to be awesome. It's very stressful. Right now, the episodes are stressful because there's a lot going on, and there's a lot of awful things happening all the time. It's Warhammer, you know?
It's Grim and Perilous.
Yes. So if you haven't started to listen to that, jump on, go back. Episode 0, we talk about, we create the characters, but don't judge the show by episode 0 because the audio gets way better. That was the only episode we had where JB recorded remotely, and his audio was awful. From then on, he's in person and sounds as good as the rest of us.
And like I told him, don't use the cup with the string through it to record your, and he did it anyway. So I don't.
It's a lot of string because it's a 45-minute drive.
Yeah.
Friday is Elite 8 Showdown. Big Chuck and Tim from every other show. Our janitor. They do their 8-team single elimination bracket that goes over everything.
Yep. And everything.
This last week's
discontinued serials.
Yep. It was really fun. There are a bunch of stuff I never heard of before. Do yourself a favor and Google Sprinkle Spangles and just think, how did that ever get approved?
How did that get made?
It's not even the name, it's the mascot.
Oh god.
Oh, yeah, look it up. Sprinkle Spangles. But there are a couple that they talked about on there that were new to me, that I haven't heard of before and wish I had tried.
And we're cereal connoisseurs,
God, I was a little disappointed they didn't have French Toast Crunch. I loved that as a kid.
Yep.
They didn't have I was really surprised Big Chuck didn't include the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles cereal that were like, they look like pizzas, little pizzas, kind of like honeycomb.
Okay.
Like honeycomb, but they were like, it was like a savory cereal. It was awful. I got one box of it when I was a kid, and I was like, I don't think we even finished it. It was so bad. It was like savory cereal, and it was just like, but I might just be getting that mixed up with like a bag snack that looked like little pizzas. So I'm gonna have to do
that tried to eat like cereal.
No, I just might be mixing up my head from 25 plus years ago. But yeah, that show's super fun. If you like it, giving me crap as a GM, you'll love that show because they give me crap constantly.
So much crap. Oh my god.
To the point where the most recent episode, Tim actually said, "We need to stop crapping on Dan so much."
That's how you know.
He didn't say crap though. I just said it for this.
Because we don't want to quack you out.
Quack. And then Saturday is also a kind of off day for the Professional Casual Network. But if you want to join our Discord on our Patreon, then every day is PCN day.
Every day's
all kinds of stuff going on. People talking about games they're running, games they're playing in. People talking about random stuff. Dagna likes talking about things he's making.
Yeah.
Well.
So if you like, every day our Discord is PCN. It's popping with cool nerds. Yeah.
Oh, I love that actually. Popping with cool nerds. So speaking of cool nerds, I'm gonna go watch some football because I am a nerd that likes football. I know a lot of people in the Discord are like, ew, sports ball, and I'm like, I like it. Get off my back.
Get off my back.
So I'll see you next week. We'll be talking about dwarves. It might be me and my brother. Not my brother and me, because that's a different podcast. It's way more successful. And we'll see you next time. Bye.
Goodbye.
I can't wait. Put that hand and click the mouse to say stop recording. Oh no, my mouse died. Bye.
You have to hit stop stream.
I do that every time I hit stop recording.